Hello everyone, it's your only bald-headed, shabby, pubed, clammy dude, Yammy Noob. I am the only person. Today I'm going to discuss going the distance on a motorcycle. If you're trying to figure out how to go the distance with something else, this channel is only going to get you on a motorcycle. There's a tremendous amount of preparation that goes into riding a motorcycle on a long trip as opposed to driving a car the same distance. What a lot of beginner riders run into is that the unique differences between a car and a bike only become apparent when things are too late. Don't be riding miles from home on your bike without knowing the next 7 things. Number 1, prepare your bike. If you're the kind of squid who simply wings it before you ride, that's not gonna fly anymore. Before you go on a long distance trip, your bike needs to be adequately prepared. Don't be the Karen that knows she's driving out of state for Thanksgiving all year, but suddenly decides that 15 minutes before her trip, she needs to get an oil change. Yeah, you're not a Karen on 2 wheels, none of that lack of preparation. Give yourself 2 weeks or however fast Amazon delivers in your area, and then go over your entire bike. Look at things like coolant hoses, debris in the radiator, warm it up and check it for leaks, etc. Look over your chain, make Airy Henning proud and clean that thing, lube it and make sure it's looking good. If bolts on the side of your bike are falling off, you need to go over and make sure that they're tight. If there's ever a time something bad's gonna happen to your bike, it will be exactly 15 minutes away from anyone or anything that can help you. Trust me, it's happened to me before. Check over everything. Now would be the time to change your oil, lube the chain, replace your tires if you need to, and etc. Make sure your bike's 100%, and if not, 2 weeks gives you enough time to order the parts, install them, and even test drive before that long trip. Seriously, baby yams and squidlets, this is probably the most important thing to do before your big trip. Mechanical problems can literally end your trip prematurely. Now, do you know what you have just enough time for? It's the beginner bike giveaway series. I've been talking about this for a while now, but actually March 7th is the last day to get your entries in. Up for grabs is the Kawasaki Ninja 400, the DRZ 400, and the CB 650R. If you're wondering how to win one, head on over to yammynoob.co, select a subscription tier, and get entered to win, along with other great perks like our Discord server. For every $10 you enter, you get 100 entries to win that way. So if you go for a $20 subscription, you get 200 entries to win, and you can earn additional chances to win by sharing on social media and sending me letters and those types of things. So hit the link down below, go to yammynoob.co, get signed up. March 7th is the last day to enter. It's gonna be pretty sweet. 3 people are gonna get 3 different bikes. Number 2, pack accordingly. If you're riding from one coast to another and plan on going out to eat on numerous occasions and looking fancy, don't pack a freaking iron for your clothes. You need to bring the essentials and only the essentials. Consider the weight of everything that's going on either your back or in a saddlebag as well. If you're not rocking a gold wing, you need to be mindful of the weight, my dude. If it's a consumable item, you can buy it, so be prepared to. If your clothes get dirty, wash them. There's no need to have too much clothing. Don't bring something that you can't buy locally that's readily available. A giant jug of laundry detergent, you don't need it. Along with other items that you'll bring, you also need to be mindful of how you're gonna pack these items. You'll want the heaviest items stored as close to the bike as possible to keep the center of gravity as low as possible. Keep your bike weight balanced from side to side as well. You don't want to put an anchor on one side of your bike and then a feather on the other. If you've ever traveled by air and have tried to avoid checking in extra baggage, well, now you get to experience being a minimalist on the level expert. Pack light, pack only the essentials, and make sure nothing moves around while you're riding, because it's gonna be awkward if you do so. Number 3, bring some tools. I know what you're thinking. You're looking at your toolbox and having a panic attack and trying to bring the whole thing along with you. You just told me to not put weight on the bike, Yammy Noob. What the hell? When you go on a long distance trip, you're gonna wanna balance between the absolute bare necessities and also the essential tools. You need to consider the situations you might be in and then think from there. Factory toolkits are handy, but most are probably not complete enough for most accidents or incidents of the like on the road. Consider the size of the fasteners on your fairings, everything that's bolted on, and don't skimp on having a few extra screwdrivers or even a small ratchet and socket set. If you can find one tool that replaces many, that'll be your best bet. The problem is that you don't want to be going without. Me personally, I picked up a Stockton on-the-road carry toolkit and took it with me on my trip down to Mexico and felt pretty good about all the tools that I had in there. So take a look at all the tools that are used for basic maintenance, such as replacing a light bulb or removing the seat for a jump start, and ensure you have the essentials. Go from there and don't pack too many tools, but make sure you have enough. Number 4, have a plan. Yes, you can literally swing your leg over a bike and ride for months at a time. People have done these soul-searching trips on motorcycles, and it's feasible. You can do it too. The biggest factor in determining your success will be how well you plan. For a car, a flat tire probably won't stop you, just slow you down. On a bike, well, things can get a little difficult. Before you head out on the road, have a plan. Any kind of plan, really. You need to plan your stops, whether by time, mileage, or necessity. You should also include a contingency plan in case of bad weather or even traffic delays. The worst thing in the world is to be trapped on a bike in bumper-to-bumper traffic and not have anywhere to go with saddlebags and backpack filled to the brim. When you're not moving, it's just more weight you're going to need to balance. Plan out your trip as well as you can, even if you don't know exactly where you're going to end up. Know what to do in case of emergencies, where to go, and what the weather might be. And when I say might, don't expect to ride into New England in January and not see snow, just be prepared. This is also considering that you're going to be riding in your country and knowing your traffic laws and all those kinds of things. If you're traveling internationally, you might have to plan even more. You might have to think about what the local laws are like there, maybe certain areas you might want to avoid or certain areas you might want to see, how you're going to get there, if there's trails, if there are roads. It can be a little more complicated if you're going international, but just know that it's not impossible. If you're blessed enough to have a passenger riding with you on your trip, don't forget to figure out the communication between the two of you. You already know we recommend Cardo. Figure out Bluetooth, music, and then hand signals in case batteries start to die. Be mindful of your passenger and plan out your trip together. Number 5, wear comfortable gear. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and squid for 1,000 miles. No, that's probably just going to be bad luck, but you should really consider the type of gear you're going to be wearing and how comfortable it's going to be. Certain helmets that you use for track days, motovlogging, or even riding with a passenger might not be the best choice for a long distance trip. Pick the gear that fits you best, is the most comfortable, and will also protect you. You need to consider the changes in weather as you ride. If you're going from one coast to another, from north to south, things might start to get warmer or colder really fast. This is why adventure-oriented gear works really, really well, because you can take in and out warm liners. You can also open up some vents in them. They're pretty modular for the warm or cold weather you're going to be encountering. Your comfort while riding greatly determines your endurance and how many miles you can safely ride. If your gear's too restrictive, uncomfortable, or isn't waterproof, you're going to have a long ride ahead of you if something were to happen. Number 6, and this might sound pretty simple, but it's stay hydrated and eat some good food. If you think you only sweat in the heat, you are wrong. Even though we don't get drenched in sweat or leave puddles of gooch juice, we still sweat in cooler temperatures. It might not be much, but it does still happen. When people climb mountains in extremely cold weather, they're consistently told to hydrate because the body feels less thirsty in the cold. You also need to eat. It is very common, especially for younger riders, to get in a drive and go for 6 or 7 hours at a time non-stop. That's great in a car, sure. Pound an energy drink and just drive straight through it, you'll make it to grandma's. On a motorcycle, things are really different. The amount of energy you use or exert to keep the bike balanced will take a toll on you in the hot, the cold, and bad weather, and even doing so after a long period of time. We cannot just lean back and relax on a motorcycle. Well, some of us can if you're on an ADV or a cruiser-oriented bike, but you should really think about how you're lacking all the creature comforts and there, expend more energy simply to stay alert and ride at the bare minimum. It's also silly to think that grown adults need a meal plan or reminders to drink water and eat food, but when you're in the middle of nowhere and have been riding forever, a lack of nutrition and dehydration will become difficult to manage and will take a toll on your riding abilities. This is particularly useful to know if you're doing any type of off-road riding. Trust me, when I was out in Mexico and I was 9 hours into a trail and I hadn't eaten anything all day and I was starting to get dehydrated, it was not a good situation. Number 7, know your laws. The last piece of advice I have for you is if you're going outside of your state or on a motorcycle is to know the laws of the state you're going to, or if you're traveling internationally, then the countries you'll be visiting. In the US, some states such as California and Utah have lane splitting and filtering laws, which can take out-of-state riders by surprise. Study up and learn what is legal and what is not before arriving in these states. Some of these states, traffic splitting is an offense, while others don't really care. Make sure you find any openly specific laws about motorcycles and be aware of them. A great example would be helmet laws across the country. I always recommend that you keep your helmet on and wear a full face, but other riders might be looking forward to the opportunity. Some states also allow travel in the breakdown lane or in the shoulders at certain time of the day, so you don't get the crap scared out of you, but it might also help to look into the general laws of traffic. On a quick side note, it's really common in the US for riders to have concealed carry weapon permits or in some state open carry handguns. Because the nature of a motorcycle, firearm laws become very complex as their legal definitions. Don't look for me for advice on this topic, but instead research and call the proper authorities in the states you intend on traveling through. This is something you should really not overlook. One absolute last thing, no, this isn't number 8. If you're on your trip and you need to stop, just stop. Whether it's for 5 minutes, a night, or an hour, nothing is worth riding into a dangerous situation that you could have avoided. And there you go. That's how you can go the distance on a motorcycle. Did we forget anything that really helped you on your trips? What is the farthest distance you've taken your bike on a single day? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm sure there's a few squids that haven't even left their states yet. And if you haven't, go and check it out. It's nice to get out there and ride. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you later. Fact. From 1948 to 1975, the U.S. Army conducted top-secret experiments on soldiers at the Edgewood area in Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Maryland. The substances? LSD, acid, THC, and chemical weapons. Goodbye.